Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Friday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be great. Um, I don't really have any announcements. It's been kind of a long week, but I am looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully you guys are as well. But since there's no announcements, I'm just going to jump right in. You may be wondering what we're drawing tonight, of course. I was asked to draw a raccoon. Now, I have drawn a raccoon once before, but it was kind of like a quick figurative sketch. It was a rocket raccoon, the Guardians of the Galaxy guy. I haven't really ever done just like a raccoon, just like a realistic raccoon. So that's what we're going to try tonight. So I have my paper here, and as you can see, I'm going to try it on black paper. And the only challenge I'm giving myself is I've got this stubby little white pencil. I'm going to try to do it all with this white pencil. It says white on it so you don't forget. I don't know. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I've kind of already mapped it out a little bit, put some marks down so that I know where everything is, so that I got my proportions correct. But I'm just going to jump right in. This is a pastel pencil. Sometimes when I'm drawing on this black paper, I use like colored pencils. So I've done pastel pencils on this before, but it doesn't really have the tooth to it that I would normally want for like working with pastels. But it has worked in the past. I just have to be careful so I don't smear it too much because this doesn't really stick to it very well. If you do use pastel pencils on this, this is a um, crap, mixed media paper. It's I forget the brand, but it doesn't have like a ton of tooth on it. It's kind of like smooth. The other thing I don't like about this paper, since we're complaining about the paper, the other thing I don't like on it about it is it's kind of reflective. Like it's really looking gray because of this light. So whenever I take a picture of it afterwards, I have to kind of adjust for that. But anyway, all complaining aside, I'm going to draw this raccoon. So I'm just going to get started. I see Robert G's already in the chat. Anybody else wants to feel free to chime in. Cool. I'll chat with you guys throughout the night. But I'm just going to get started. So I think I'm going to start with the eyes, which is what I usually start with. So because this pencil's kind of stubby, it's a little bit challenging, but and it's not very sharp. I kind of didn't bother sharpening it because this stuff is really brittle anyway. So I kind of just try to use the edge of it whenever I'm working on like some detailed feature, and I find that that kind of works. Like you can see here, the line that I'm drawing is pretty pretty fine. It's not as fine as maybe I could get with colored pencils if I really sharpened it, but I'm happy with it. Hey, Rum Dog, drawing a raccoon. I like raccoons. They're super cute. I've got some harrowing experiences with raccoons. I also think they're super vicious, and you should like be careful around them. I don't know if I mentioned it on this channel or if I mentioned it somewhere else, but I went camping one time and I was sleeping on a picnic table, like because we didn't have like a tent or anything like that. We were just camping, and a raccoon came up and was like sniffing my ear and terrified me. So I always have this like kind of like weird relationship with raccoons where I think they're super adorable. They're very cute. I like drawing them, but also you wouldn't catch me messing with one in real life, you know, because they'll tear you up. They don't look like they would. They're pretty innocent looking, but also you don't want to mess with one. Plus, they carry like diseases and stuff. Like if you got bit by a raccoon, you basically well, this is kind of sad, but it's true. Like if you get bit by a raccoon, your best hope is to catch that raccoon because they're going to want to like basically euthanize it and cut it open to make sure it doesn't have rabies. But short of that, raccoons are adorable. They're kind of clean too. Like if you ever watch them, they clean their food. Like if you give one an apple, it'll wash the apple. That's always funny to watch too because they got these like cute little hands. They just kind of move it around and everything. Yeah, I'm lucky I still have a face. Like it was sniffing my ear, and I thought for sure it was going to take off my ear. But it didn't actually bother me. It just kind of like left me alone. But yeah, kind of terrified me. I was a young man at the time, so I was deeply impressionable. This is kind of challenging to draw with. I'm used to like, drawing with like longer pencils where I can kind of use it like a paintbrush. But we'll get it done. They kind of also have like I don't know, like kind of a mouse face, just obviously bigger. Like if you can draw a mouse, you can draw a raccoon and vice versa, I think. Of course, it's my opinion. Anybody can draw anything. You just have to take your time and follow basic principles of drawing shapes and stuff like that, because it's all just shapes. You can really just draw anything. But I'm taking my time with it. So congratulations, everybody. We made it through the week. It's Friday. Yay. Hopefully everybody's had a good week. Oh, yeah. A lot of the countries in that super hot air, huh? Well, hopefully you guys can cool down. I know that not everybody out there has air conditioning and stuff. They mentioned that they're setting up like cooling centers, I guess they're called, like places you can go to cool down if you need to, like libraries probably, and you know, maybe something with the pool. That would be cool, like a community pool. I saw some YouTubes where people like invented their own air conditioner. I don't know if I'm that handy, but that might be fun. It is Friday. So happy it's Friday. Excited about the weekend. Don't really have any plans, but I'll make some. Usually do. There's a couple of movies in the theaters. I want to go see that Oppenheimer movie. I think that would be kind of cool. I'm not really much for like historical fix, like nonfiction historical films, but um, everybody keeps saying good things about it. It's got a great cast, so I'm gonna probably check that out this weekend. And I still haven't seen the Mission Impossible movie. I kind of want to see that too. I think that'd be kind of cool. That's about it. It's kind of an art show at this small gallery in town. I think I might go and check that. Oh, that's right. There's a street festival this weekend too. That's always fun. Live music and everybody just having a good time. I don't really do anything at those things. Like I never know anybody there, so I just kind of like walk around and stuff. But they usually have like arts and crafts and stuff like that, like little booths where local artists are showing off stuff they did. That's always fun. And then like a lot of the times these little street festivals, they have like a beer vendor and they let you walk around with the beer when you couldn't normally. So that's a good way to cool down if you can. I don't think it's that hot around here. It's been a little bit muggy, but not too bad. I don't know what temperature. Hey, kid. Yeah, Mission Impossible. It seems very cool. Like people talking good about that. People talking good about the Oppenheimer film. I think there's a lot of good choices in theaters. Usually isn't. All those summer blockbusters, I guess. Like with these eyebrows, these raccoons look a little sinister, but they're not. They're adorable. You don't want to get in a fight with one. You don't want to let your pets get in a fight with one because they do not back down. There's video of like raccoons taking on bears. Yeah, kettle corn. There you go. So like all the food, funnel cakes, kettle corn. Oh, I love kettle corn. And it's just not the same when you make it at home, is it? You gotta get it at a street fair. Something about I don't know how they make it like in a big old vat or something. Usually when I draw pointed eyebrows, it's because I'm drawing a villain, you know? I keep thinking like, am I drawing this wrong? Because he looks kind of evil right now. I want him to look adorable. I'll make him look adorable. It'll be okay. I don't want to call this guy Rocket because that's I already drew Rocket, the raccoon. So I'm going to call him Rocky. Like I got asked to draw this raccoon, but I probably would have got around to drawing one eventually anyway. It's because I do like drawing wildlife, and we have a lot of these guys around here. Um, I live in like a little like cul-de-sac almost, and I don't get to see them all that often around here, like around my house. We have more like possums around my house. Um, but there are definitely a lot of raccoons in the vicinity. It's always nice to see them. Hey, Larry, how's it going? Happy Friday. I love how every Friday is like a little cause for celebration. It's like a mini holiday once a week. Keeps you going. It's nice to take a break. All right, just so that I can keep myself orientated, I'm going to go up here and kind of work in the ears just so I know where everything is. You kind of start losing track after a while. I did put in some marks just to help orientate me, but they're very faint. So if you're looking for a lesson, put in a few small, like almost transparent marks just so that you know where you're at. And then as you're working, kind of reinforce those so that you're constantly uh, building up that the initial sketch that you did. Some people keep raccoons as pets. I don't know how that works because they're like pretty feral. I don't know. Maybe they start with them as like baby raccoons. You should never like just adopt one. Like all the reasons I said before. Like honestly, if you get bit by a raccoon, they're gonna want to hunt down that raccoon and check it for rabies, and the only way that they can check it is by killing it. So just don't mess with raccoons. Public service announcement there. So even though they're super adorable, don't just get some wild one and try to like take care of it as a pet. I mean, I don't know if that's actually true. That's what a vet told me one time. So it might have been a quack vet, but that's my understanding is that they have to kill it in order to check it for rabies. That's no good. Just because you wanted to like, have an adorable little raccoon. But some people do have them as pets, and I don't know how that works. Like, my only guess is that they do start them off young and just kind of raise them up as pets and domesticate them. Basically, I don't think people have like feral ones as pets. You really shouldn't have any kind of feral animal as a pet. Like, if you see a neighborhood cat, I mean, you can feed it or whatever outdoors, but don't take it in. That's a cute little ear. He's got a cute little face. Oh, raccoons. Right, gotta move my beer. As you can tell, I've got allergies today, so sorry if I sniffle. For those of you who also watches Ben stream, I think he's streaming tonight. I thought I saw a notice of that. If you guys hop off and go over there and watch that, that's not gonna you're not gonna offend me. This picture will be done eventually, and you can check it out then, or you can check out the replay or whatever. I know that he usually only streams when there's something important to say, so I don't know. I don't. Sometimes he gets in moods too. So, like, but yeah, just to let you know, I did. I think I did when I logged into this see a notification that he was doing a stream tonight. I'll be okay over here by myself. I don't know what kind of accent that was. I do apologize for that. Got these like super fuzzy ears. I kind of want to draw a mouse too, but I think the mouse I want to draw is I don't know, like a ooh, barbecue burritos. That sounds good. I think that the mouse I want to draw is one of those anthropomorphic mouses where they put like a little outfit on it and give them like a little backpack and stuff. It might have been kidding. Every now and then the Leroy voice comes out. Hello, internet. My name is Leroy. It's been a while since I've done a Leroy episode. I don't know if I can still do the voice. I have to practice. I ran out of things to talk about him. So when drawing all this fur for the raccoon, it's really just these like, I don't know, really thin lines. Kind of have to make sure that you're following, say, like in this case, the eyebrow. Oh, raccoon on velvet, that would be cool. Huh. Like paints in kind of like a pen dispenser or something like that. I think I've seen those. That would probably be easier than what I'm doing. Because like you can see, this is not a very well, it's not very focused. Yeah, there you go. So it's not a very sharp pencil. I'm just using the edges of it, but it works. I'm used to using like with pastels. I'm used to using these sticks, and let me just kind of show real quick. You can get kind of the same stuff. So even though it's a big old gigantic stick, you can still get these like very fine lines out of it. There's a lot of pastel artists who just use these sticks. I like using the pencils for finer details, but it's not a requirement. Like if like the pencils are sometimes like more expensive. If you want to just get started in pastels, you can buy a set of these sticks for like, I don't know, like under 20 bucks. I want to say maybe 15 or something. Even my local Walmart has them now. Like they kind of expanded their store. I think they're trying to compete with like Michael's and Hobby Lobby and all them. But they've got pastel sticks, and it's kind of fun. Like if you're into drawing, like even if you're doing it as like a hobby or something like that, you just kind of casually draw. I'm gonna go back to my pencil now. It's fun to kind of break up the routine. So like obviously you can start with like any old pencil or even a pen. But pretty quickly you're gonna kind of want to move on from that. So they sell like sets of pencils in varying like hardnesses, and the softer it is, the darker the the lead is on the paper. So you can start with like say a mechanical pencil or even just like a regular number two pencil like you had in school. But pretty quickly you're gonna want to move up to a set. And then that's just on the graphite pencils. Once you start using those for a bit, you're gonna be like, well, let me see what this charcoal is all about. And then you're gonna buy a set of charcoal. And then, like me, if you've been following my channel, eventually you're going to want to introduce some color. So you're either going to want to get some colored pencils or you're going to want to like, experiment with other things. That's kind of how people fall into doing pastels. Pastels is another type of dry drawing medium, and it's a lot of fun. It's messy sometimes, like, Yeah. Well, the 70s and 80s, those were kind of wild times for art. I know that my mom used to do macrame. I don't even think people do that anymore. It's the knotted kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe people still do it, but she was big into that too. She had like this little club that she was involved in that everybody did macrame, and they kind of had these little. I guess they would kind of like the equivalent of a sewing circle. I don't know, but she was really into that. I don't know why she gave it up. She stopped doing it after a while. I guess probably because she had us kids and we took up all of her time. Kids are terrible. Don't ever have kids. I'm joking, of course. But definitely when Mother's Day comes around, and like if your mom's still in the world, make sure that you say, sorry you had to give up your macrame because that required so much attention. Yeah, we're doing a raccoon. Hey, you noticed it was a raccoon. Good job. That means that I'm doing it right. Yep, we're doing a raccoon by request. Somebody asked me if I could draw one. I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of drew Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, but they were like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm like, no, I can do a real raccoon. You just sit back and hold my beer. Watch me, watch me draw this raccoon. Because a raccoon's not that different than drawing a dog or like a wolf or basically any kind of fur animal. They're all kind of done pretty similarly. Obviously, they have different face shapes and stuff. Yeah, Packer, I've been telling people, those that watch Ben's show as well, feel free to jump ship. I won't be offended. Usually he only like does a stream when he has something important to say, so I'm kind of upset that I'm missing out as well. But that's okay. I'll watch it later. Well, Marvel, I appreciate you stopping in for as long as you can. I saw that you're taking up painting. That's kind of cool. Wish you best of luck. I'm still working with painting. Like I've got to go back and practice some more myself. It's been a little while since I've tried to do any painting. Maybe I'll take that up next week. I've got a set of oil paints, but I don't have any kind of like way of cleaning my brushes. I don't have any like turpentine or paint thinner or any of that jazz, so I haven't messed with those. For some reason, I bought them at the local like Walmart because, like I said, they've expanded their art section, and I was like in there, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna get these oil paints that are on sale because they were kind of cheap. But then for some reason, and maybe it's just something I didn't notice, they don't have like the turpentine. I don't know if that's because they're afraid of kids getting a hold of it or whatever, but it definitely wasn't in that aisle. Maybe it's in some other aisle. Like it's not in there with the art supplies. I don't even know. Like I that's how much I know about painting. I haven't really dived down that rabbit hole yet, so I don't know what all supplies you might need. I just know that along with the paints, you probably need a canvas. I've got that. I've got some canvas board. Buy marble. Um, yeah, so you need a canvas. You need the paints themselves, and then you need some way of cleaning your brushes so that like you don't have to get a new brush every time. A wolf coon. It's not a wolf coon. This is a raccoon. It looks awesome. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be humble about it. Yeah, this raccoon. I don't know. Kind of. No, I'm just kidding. Like, yeah, I like how it's turning out. I like doing white on black. A lot of fun. These little hairs through here. There's like a lot of dark through here. They kind of have like these little white tips, so you really need like a light touch through here. And then up here, it kind of gets a little brighter. So when I get up to that, I like working on with white on black paper too because you get to choose what you really want to highlight. Like you don't have to draw every individual hair. You can kind of well, you could just say like, oh, he's peeking out of a hole in a tree or something like that, and you want like half his face in shadow. You can do all that stuff if you wanted to. hate to quote Bob Ross, but this is your own little world. You can do whatever you want. And then also, because this is such smooth paper, I get a little nervous about blending on this paper because I don't want to just like scrape all of the pastel off. But I find if you use like a really light touch, you can still use pastel on um like paper that doesn't have great tooth. It's just, like here you can see that it's kind of like a little bit gray, which is fine in this case. But I'm just going over it really lightly so I don't just scrape all that stuff off. And also, when you are using kind of smooth paper like this, you're kind of limited on how many layers of pastel you can throw down. So I don't mind smoothing out this bottom layer and then coming back over it with like a few lines to show really white hair poking through. But it's one of those things that you just have to practice with until you get the hang of it. I've done enough of these pictures in pastel on black paper that I've kind of learned what sort of problems I'm going to have. Like the first one I did, I was like, oh, I'll just smooth it out with my finger. Nah, that'll pick up all the pastel and you basically have to redraw it. So I stopped doing that and learned my lesson. But as you can see, I am able to kind of go back over this stuff that I blended out and create like more hair, which is ideal. Because then you get this kind of smoothed out look and then some detail over it, which really adds to the realism of your picture. And I'm only doing that in these areas where there's like really white puffy bits. Up here, I'm not going to smooth any of this out because it's all, little short stubble hairs. It's not really even hairs. It's more like the tips of hairs up here. Well, maybe I might blend it a little bit up here. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to like say that I'm not going to do it and then come back and do it anyway. All right, have a good one. Yeah, big bag of cat food. That's more important. My dogs love cat food. My dogs like everything other than what I buy them. Like I buy them stuff and they'll eat it. That's their normal go-to meal. But it doesn't matter what I buy or what it tastes like or anything like that. If it's something they're not used to having, they consider it a treats. Like they're so happy to get whatever it is. Like again, these dog biscuits, and I can imagine those things taste like cardboard. Like, there's probably no taste to them whatsoever, but they love them. Like they sincerely think that it's the best thing in the entire world. Like they were really good dogs or something whenever they get one because they can't imagine what they did to deserve it. I think that's all psychological. I'd love to know what a dog actually thinks. I think I might go to that street festival tomorrow. I love the idea of getting kettle corn. Thanks for the suggestion, kid. Um, I might do that art show. Although I don't know, like depends on, like I'm starting to get kind of picky with these art shows. Like I don't want to just see any old art. I want to see art that inspires me, makes me want to do something similar or something like that. So like I don't know. I would love to go to um like a museum or an art show that has like a lot of wildlife pictures just because I really enjoy doing those. Maybe something with portraits. I haven't done a horse in a while. I have to do another horse soon. I think I got self-conscious there for a bit because all I was doing horses for a while there. It's just nothing but horses. I think somebody even commented like, "Oh, we're gonna do another horse, I guess." I'm like, "Oh." Maybe I should cut back on the horses, but there's just so many horses around here. And I love horses. I can't help it. I'm inspired by horses. Yeah, cattle corn for real. I mean, you can probably get by with like homemade kettle corn, but it's definitely not the same. It'll get you by though. Like if you go out to the store and just get some microwave kettle corn, that'll work, but it's not going to be the same. It's like steak doesn't taste as good unless it's like grilled. Same thing with kettle corn. Of course, this being Kentucky, um, they uh they have all kinds of fried stuff at these little street fairs, like basically every kind of fried thing you can think of. I think the last one I went to they had like fried Oreos and those type of things, which I always think are cool. Like fried Oreos. If you guys haven't had fried Oreos, I highly recommend that. It's basically Oreos and I guess it's like a pancake batter or something, and then they fry it. It comes out so soft and gooey and better than s'mores, I tell you. All right, so kind of need to get this brow in or whatever this ridge is back here without him looking like a hedgehog. I'm just going to kind of quickly rough this in just so that I kind of have a good idea. That's that's about the right. This is all back fur here. This is more head fur. I think it kind of comes around almost like in a heart pattern. It definitely comes into like a little bow there. And I want to kind of keep it light right now, but it needs to be almost as light and bright as this in terms of value. Going pretty well. I do have some sandpaper somewhere where I can sharpen this to a fine point, but I think using the edge like this, I mean, I really just wanted to do as a challenge, use a small little pencil, don't sharpen it, just see if I can use it, and it's kind of proven my point. You don't need to over sharpen these pencils. You can just use the edges of them to create like because it is kind of there's a ridge there and it has a fine point on it. So I mean, you're not going to get like microscopic lines, that sort of level of detail, but you're going to get good enough that where if you stand like this camera is about yay up here, it's like, I don't know, I want to say maybe a foot and a half up. From that distance, it looks realistic. I don't expect anybody to look at my pictures with like a magnifying glass, although that would be cool. Actually, I do enjoy doing that. I like looking at people's art that closely just because even though it's not going to look realistic, I still like seeing that kind of stuff that they put in, like each individual paint stroke, brush stroke, pencil stroke, whatever, each individual mark. I like looking at that stuff. But that's just because I want to steal their skills. I want to be as good as them. I want to see them do it. I can say that these soft pastel pencils are great for doing fur. I enjoy them more. Like I do sometimes use colored pencils for like fur and stuff like that, but it it's easier, I think, to use these pastel pencils. They're really easier to blend than colored pencils. I like the texture of them. I like how you scrape them across the paper. I like the noise they make. All that jazz. So yeah, honestly, I like things about it that other people would actually say, well, that's the reason I don't like them. I like that they're powdery, and I like that they kind of not quite like sound of a fingernail scraping on a chalkboard, but there's definitely that kind of like I don't know, that ASMR kind of thing that people are into, like that scratching noise. I like that kind of stuff with these things. They're so much fun. And also, they're super easy to erase. Like if I put this little line here, right, it looks like I made a mistake. Well, take my needed eraser, and it's gone just like that. That would be difficult with colored pencils because colored pencils are wax based, so it's going to take a little bit of maneuvering to get rid of a mistake in colored pencils. This just comes right off, you know. In fact, that's one of the risks. Like I don't want to get my hand in anything because it'll smudge it and so on. All right, so I have to kind of figure out where this kind of comes down. I think white around his nose. I'm calling it a he. It's probably a she. I'm gonna try to call it a she. Just get better habits and not make assumptions. She's got little whites coming out the side of her nose. I'll come back to all this up here. But I kind of want to figure out where this line comes through. And let's get through here. I'm going to say that this kind of comes up. Bring that up through there. And that means that this is going to come across here and kind of form his, I guess, cheek, we would call it. I think that's accurate. And all of this right here would be fur. So now we kind of fill in some of this stuff and connect these two. So the ear kind of comes down through here, kind of fluffs out through here. All this kind of comes back through here. This is all dark through here. It's not shadow, it's just for some reason they have brown fur here instead of like lighter fur. And through here. Do notice when I say fur, that kind of Leroy type southern way of saying it comes out like fur. Fur. Fur is a fun word to say. Little fuzzy bits up here. So through here, I think I can run the risk of blending through here. So let me put some down. So this is basically just a lighter shade of white than the other parts. Have that come through here. This is actually something I struggle with, especially like on cat ears, is getting that hair to kind of be the same sort of softness, but also detail I see in the original photo. But I've been working on it. I think I'm getting better at it. It's not just like lines coming through. There's also, you know, other things going on. I do think it's cool that people stopped in before they went off to watch other things. That's kind of cool. I appreciate that kind of stuff. People stop in and say hi. One of these days, I might actually take Friday off. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything to do. Sometimes they have concerts around here that are on Fridays. I thought maybe I might go to one of those. But if I did, I would just make it up to you guys by doing a stream on Thursdays or something like that. I am thinking about doing like 3 a week instead of just two. Like I'm getting kind of where 2 a week isn't cutting it for me. I kind of want to because the other days when I'm not streaming, I want to be drawing too. And I notice that if I'm not streaming, I really run the habit of not drawing because I get busy, sidetracked, things like that. And I'm like, well, I don't really have any people depending on me to show up, so I'm just not going to draw anything today. I don't want to get into that habit. I think that that's a bad habit. And if you remember, my goal was I want to draw all the time. You know, I want to draw every day type thing. I don't want. I want. I want to do these streams so that you guys are expecting me to draw for you, so that I don't. I can't think up an excuse like, oh, I'd rather go out to the bar today or something like that. You know, that's kind of how this thing works. That's why it works. Nice fluffy ear. All right, so I'm gonna turn my attention back to the head up here and then kind of move on and kind of do the same over here with this side. Thor drawing. The one with the golden retriever is Thor. Yeah, I drew that months ago. Like some of those drawings, I enjoyed those. You know, I would like to do more of them. I had this whole idea of like all the different Avengers, it's different animals. I mean, some of them are easy, like Black Panther, obviously going to be a cat. Um, but I thought about like what each Avenger might end up being as an animal. On the Thor one, that one was pretty easy. Like I feel like a golden retriever is right for Thor. And there's also you might enjoy the Loki one where it's a Loki cat. He used to have these hanging up. I don't know where I put that one. I need to revisit that because I had plans for all of them. I forget what I was going to do for Captain America, but I feel like Captain America might be a dog as well. But I didn't want to just do dogs and cats, so I thought I would do other animals as well. Um, but then it gets tricky, like when you get into like say Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch or something like that. Like Scarlet Witch would probably make a pretty cool cat, but like Doctor Strange, what kind of animal would represent Doctor Strange? I'd have to give that kind of stuff a thought. But yeah, I really did enjoy that, and I'm glad that people are going back and watching some of these older ones that I did. It's like sometimes you feel like you do these things, you put them out there, and they only like live for like a short period of time, you know, and then like you basically have a day to enjoy people watching them, and then they just go away and disappear into the underbelly of YouTube, never to be seen again. I definitely feel like that's the case more at YouTube than some of these, or probably YouTube, maybe Instagram. TikTok, I feel like, I don't know, if somebody follows you on TikTok, I feel like they have more of a chance of seeing some former thing you work, but it definitely has a shelf life. Probably the case with Instagram too. Like if people don't see it within a short period of time, it kind of disappears. And that's definitely the case on YouTube. Like when I post something, like one of my shorts on YouTube, if I don't get viewers to it within the first hour, it's gone. You know, like nobody's ever going to watch that video. And like sometimes these things surface up. Like I noticed my Wednesday Addams short that I did. It's got like 6,000 views on it or whatever, and that's obviously more than what it got the day one. But that's like rare. Most of these is like if you know they'll get whatever views they get within the first hour or something, and then like I'll never see views on those again. It's just the way it is, you know. And it doesn't bother me from the view standpoint so much. It bothers me that like, well, I spent some time on it. I want more people to see it. You know, I don't have to like repost it. I don't even think that that would work. Like I think that that might throw off some alarm bell or something YouTube, and they might shadow ban it or whatever. But I don't know. Then of course it kind of scares me that they might be bringing up pictures that I drew before that aren't any good because I don't delete any of them because I do need like eventually I'd like to get into the partner program eventually, and you need like a certain amount of views like within the year or something, and I don't want to delete anything, even the stuff that I don't like, just because of that, you know. So they sit up there even though I don't like them, and yeah. I guess I kind of you gotta own them though, you know. Like if you draw something bad, you drew something bad. Just get over it, you know. Yeah, the Avenger concept, I really think that's kind of fun. There's a lady who who paints, who goes to all the Comic Cons I do, and she likes to do pop culture characters as cats. So it's not an original idea per se. Um, Obviously my art style is different than hers and stuff, but she does like a lot of she does a lot of pop culture characters as different cats. It's strictly cats. Like all she does is cats. One might say she's a cat lady, but she's super nice. I like the lady. I follow her on Instagram, and I talk to her every time that I see her at the local Comic Cons. By local Comic Cons, like, so I live in Kentucky, and I go to Kentucky Comic Cons in Louisville, Lexington. I think they have a small one at the Capitol, so like Frankfurt. And then also, I would go up to Cincinnati to go to their Comic Cons. I might go as far out as Indiana to their Comic Cons. And she does all of those, but then she also goes down to like places like Texas, and you know, if that's your thing, which it is for her. Like, I mean, she's a professional full time artist who does these things. She just goes around to all the different cons, you know. And if you're looking to be like a you know, a professional artist where you're actually making money at this, I mean, that's one business model for you. Do your shows, and it doesn't have to be Comic Cons. During the summer, they have art shows that you can like end up signing up to do and stuff like that. And that's your thing. You just go around, you create a booth, you go around to all these different things. Seems like it'd be fun if you're into traveling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I often do kind of schedule things in advance in case like I'm not able to like post the video at the time that I wanted to go live. So I do use the scheduling. Hey, Strawberry, how's it going? Nice to have you back. Zoom out a little bit on this. I wanted to kind of see. Yeah, see, there's some fur that pops up here as well. Drawing a raccoon today. I think we're gonna call him not Rocket the Raccoon. Would I say? I don't remember, so I'll just make up a new name. We're gonna call him Roger Raccoon or Robbie Raccoon. There you go. Let's go with Robbie. I think that's a cool name. Hopefully I can remember that next time I think about it. Robbie the Raccoon. It looks kind of evil now because I haven't done any of this bit yet. How are we doing on time? Oh, yeah, we're so good. Let's see, down here. For this guy, we're gonna kind of have some fur. Come off through here, up there. We're gonna connect that to the ear. And then that, like on this side, kind of fluffs down and it kind of goes into the eyebrow a bit. So I do feel like if I was doing this in colored pencil, it would take a while to get these kind of like bright values. Whereas with the pastel, it's pretty opaque. It just goes right on it. The colored pencils are pretty transparent, great for blending, all of that stuff. But it is kind of transparent. So you'll end up needing to go over or press down really hard. I'm using I should probably explain. I'm using very, very light touches here. So like that line I just did, barely even pressing the pencil down. Versus, like with colored pencils, you press down really hard to get that color out. You don't have to do that with these pastels. In fact, all you're going to do is end up just smudging it, really. You just kind of lightly go over things. You can press down a little bit if you really want to get some color out of it, but it doesn't take much. More so, you create like different values with how many times you go over it, how many layers, and so on like that. You don't really have to press hard no matter what you do. So like I want this to be a little bit brighter, so I'll just go over it many times and keep my lines kind of close together. That's a little bit different than how you would do it with colored pencils. Oh, I'm doing good. The long week, but I'm happy that it's over. I got a few complaints, but they're nothing to speak of. Nothing I'm gonna bother you guys with. In the grand scheme of things, I consider myself pretty lucky. Besides, my core philosophy is it's really hard to be upset in this world when you have cute little things like this raccoon to look at. I really do believe that. And if I'm ever upset about something, I'll just draw a raccoon. All right, I might tinker with that forehead some more later, but I feel like it's in a good place where I can kind of move down into the face a bit. This is the trash panda. Yeah, raccoon, aka trash panda. I love that because I call my dog. My dog has kind of like a black face, sort of like well, she's got black markings around the eyes, and then they come down to the into the nose, and she's always stealing things. So like I'll have I don't know, like I'll have a sandwich or something on a plate. She'll come by and grab it when I'm not looking. So I call her trash panda, even though she's a dog. Trash panda or bandit. Oh, that would be a cool name for this raccoon. All right, I'm gonna rename it yet again. I'm gonna call it Bandit. Bandit the trash panda. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, this one was by request. My niece asked me if I could draw a raccoon, and I'm like, well, I kind of drew Rocket the raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I kind of wanted to do a realistic one. I kind of just kind of did like a quick expressive drawing of Rocket Raccoon. So this one I'm kind of taking my time, trying to make it look realistic, maybe more like some of my other drawings. And I'm working with mixed media paper, obviously black paper, and using like basically white charcoal slash pastel here, which you know because it said white on it. I love that. It's like you can't tell that it's white. They have to put white on it. It's like, thanks, I appreciate that, but I kind of already know it's white. I know it's white because it's got a white outside, and when I put the color down, it's white. It's not like it's some slight shade of pink or anything like that where I might be a little bit confused or yellow or no, or like an off-white. I think I can figure this out without you telling me. I mean, I got the gift for gab. I'm sorry. Like, I basically can talk while doing anything. It gets me in trouble sometimes. Sometimes I overtalk. I hate that air. So I just basically just spout off anything that comes to my mind. Of course, I babble a lot too, and sometimes my thoughts are faster than my mouth. So like I don't really stutter, but I kind of like get lost in what I'm saying, and I have to pause for a moment and be like, "That made no sense, Jeremy." But I don't know. I gave up being self-conscious about it a long time ago. I used to be. I'm actually pretty shy. One of the reasons I do these things is to get over being shy. Like in a crowd of people, I'm probably not gonna do much talking, but it's easier online, you know. Plus, I'm used to not now. I mean, I kind of do freelance work, so I'm a little bit isolated. I don't work with people directly as much as I used to, but I used to lead software development teams, so like I had to learn how to communicate. It's still not a strong suit of mine. Like I'm not a very good communicator, but I don't know. I really believe that sometimes you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and do things that scare the hell out of you, like on purpose, just so that you know they're not as harsh. Um, and definitely, you know, like public speaking would be one of those for me. I'm not. It's not my comfort area. That's why I do it because it makes me uncomfortable. Heck, I would say drawing's not really a comfort zone for me. I do it because, like honestly, every time I start a picture, I'm like, oh man, I have no idea how this is going to go. But you just kind of do it anyway, you know? And usually it works out, but there's no guarantee. This kind of wraps up around. There's no guarantee. It could go bad just as easily as it could go well. But you know, the more you do them, the more confident you are. Like the more experience you have to say that, well, you know, the last 20 pictures I did didn't turn out that bad. So why would I have any kind of unfounded expectation that this one's going to turn out bad? And then you get, and then you start getting nervous. Like you tell yourself, like, okay, I have absolutely no reason to believe that this picture is going to turn out bad. My last 10 pictures turned out decent. This one should do as well, right? But then you start thinking about that statement. And you start thinking, like, dang, did I just jinx myself by saying that this one's going to turn out well? Did I jinx it and now it's going to turn out bad? These like little mental games you play with yourself. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Lazello, sorry. It's actually a common trait for introverts is that like it physically drains you. Now, I've gotten to the point where it doesn't do it so bad, but like I used to have to do meetings at work where I don't know, maybe I'd have to do a presentation and I would stress about that the entire day before and the entire day of, like say it was an afternoon meeting or something, I'll stress about it all day and then finally I'll do it and it'll turn out okay. Like usually they turned out all right. But then afterwards I'm just completely exhausted. And it's not like I did anything physical or anything like that. I was just mentally exhausted because like I don't know. It's just what happens with introverts. When starting the show, one of my concerns was not so much like can I draw? I didn't care if I could draw. I mean the whole thing is that I'm learning to draw. So some people might want to watch that, some people might not. But my concern was can I sit there and run a show by myself? Like it's different if you had like a co-host to talk to or something like that. But if you're just kind of like talking to yourself, it gets odd. That's why I appreciate you guys. You know, you guys coming in here, hanging out with me gives me and like this is why I like doing the live streams so much. Is because you guys give me something to talk about that kind of takes the focus off myself. So like you guys are interested in the picture I'm drawing, right? So I can talk about the picture I'm drawing. I don't have to talk about myself so much. If any of that makes sense. I don't know. I'm rambling again. That's what I do. I'm sure my experience is not unique. I'm sure this happens to a lot of other people. Or so I've heard at least. But I don't know. I kind of have the philosophy that you still have to get by in the world, so you still have to do things. Sometimes you do have to do public speaking. So if you're worried about it, that's the thing that you just do. You know, just start a YouTube show. If you're worried about public speaking, start a YouTube show because you're going to get a crash course in it pretty quick. And then you'll get comfortable with it. I don't know. I'm still not comfortable with it, but that's what they tell me. They tell me eventually I will be. It's not as dire as that, though. Like, it's actually fun. It's fun to draw these pictures and hang out with you guys and talk. My big fear is though that like I'm gonna run out of things to talk about. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm afraid that I'll be drawing and I'll be like, well, I ran out of things to talk about, guys. So we're just gonna sit here in silence for another hour while I finish up this picture. You guys seem pretty cool. I think that you guys would be okay with that. What about a dual stream and you do all the talking? That would be awkward. How do you how do you do a dual stream on here? Actually, I'm still getting used to YouTube, like trying to figure it all out. This raccoon's actually looking pretty cool. I like how this is turning out. That's the other thing. So like if you run out of things to talk about in your drawing, you can always refer back to your picture and be like, oh, I like this bit right here. It helps to be explaining what you're actually doing. My first couple of live streams, I didn't it didn't occur to me that people would be watching it to like, you know, because they themselves are artists as well. So like I've tried recently to get more in the habit. Yeah, exactly. That's true too. It does get easier the more streams you do. Anyway, I'm trying to get more in the habit of explaining what I do as I go along because I've never done that before. Like I've drawn pictures before, but like I've never. First off, before doing YouTube, I whenever I drew a picture, I mean, I'd be sitting in the living room sketching. No, it's not like people were watching me sketch or anything like. I never had an audience watching me sketch, so that was different. Um, and then the other thing about it is, I didn't really have to explain what I was doing, but after doing this, I realized, well, most of the people who come in here actually are interested in art themselves, and they want to do pictures themselves. Like that's 90% of the people who watch. Some people are just, into art, but many of them want to do art themselves. So, it's nice to explain what you're doing. It's what the other shows do. And I watch them and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Shows like yourself, Lizelle. A pencil and paper and pow art. I love it. Just instantaneously, boom. I mean, that would require a video edit, but I can make that happen. Some people don't realize that the time lapses are actual time lapses. Like, I get comments sometimes where they're like, "Wow, you draw super fast." I'm like, "What? That is not how fast I draw." Have you ever watched one of my live streams where I'm sitting there for like 2 hours drawing a simple raccoon? And actually, 2 hours is pretty quick. Like I know some people who spend like I don't know 6, 10 hours, even more on the artwork that they work on. No, the time lapses is not in real time, guys. I like the side of the face. It looks good. All right, so I definitely need to fill in this bit here because that kind of looks a little weird right now. It's okay if it looks weird, but it can't look weird forever. I think, Lozella, I think I saw on your channel that you did black paper with white chalk as well. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? For some reason, like black or white on the black paper, I just love it. Like some people do it just for like a different experience, because it is sometimes like drawing in reverse, you're like doing white instead of like the shadows and black that you're normally doing when you draw. Um, but I've done a couple of these and it's a little different with this raccoon. This raccoon had white markings, but on some of the other pictures where I'm just drawing, the lights and stuff, it is a different experience because you're drawing the lights versus the shadows. Not so much in this case, but I love it. I think it looks cool. It's fun. The white on black just is like so striking. Like I can get these white lines way wider than I can get the black lines black whenever I'm drawing. Like I feel like I have to like really press that pencil into the paper to get it to come out black, no matter which softness pencil I use. But I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fun way to do it. I need to get back to doing some of those pictures that I do on painted paper, like where I paint the paper first and then I draw over it. I think that's an enjoyable way to do it. The only problem there is I actually mix my own paint. So like the only paints I've got are like, the primary colors. And if I want a different color, I have to mix them first. It's just because I'm too cheap to go out and buy like a proper set of colors. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, these are all the colors I need to make any color I want. So I'm gonna force myself to do it that way, even though it's obviously a lot easier just to buy. Like if you want a green, just buy a green. Don't mix yellow and blue. but I do it. Oh, congratulations, Rome. I don't know if I'd have the patience for that. It's pretty cool. I don't know if I'd have the patience to do something that would win an award, but much less three months worth. That's incredible. I think my issue there would be that would um I would just want it to be done. So like even if it did take 3 months of work, I would try to cram it into a shorter period of time and end up burning myself out. That's my guess though. I haven't tried. Maybe I should try. But I'm kind of building up maybe to that because like I I have been doing pictures that take more than one day, like, and that's new. I just started recently doing that, and it's a little frustrating, but it's actually better. I found that, like on drawing this picture, I'm gonna be happy with it. And I am happy with this. I think it's turning out pretty well. But then if I come back to it tomorrow, I might see little things that I want to change. So maybe that is actually a good process where you go off and you do some work and then you set it aside for a bit. So just so that you can be like, well, how do I feel about it now when you come back to it? Because every time I do that, the picture comes out better, Like the next day I end up improving the picture. So I do see a lot of value in that. Yeah, that would be cool. Lazello? Lizello. Lizello, Lizello. I'm gonna go with Lizello. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, portraits, like are you gonna paint the entire portrait or so you're talking about the color backgrounds. Are you still gonna draw them or are you gonna paint them? What's your approach there? I think that is definitely a cool project to do, like siblings and stuff. I like that kind of art. Lizello. Okay, all right. I am sorry. Um, I think I think doing like family portraits is probably some of the most rewarding art because that's the kind of stuff that is appreciated and, has great longevity. People keep that stuff in the family, maybe even for generations. That's kind of some of the best art to do, I think. You haven't thought about it. Well, I'm sure you'll do fine. Sometimes I think it's cheating the way I go because like I'll paint like other people do it, so I don't feel too bad about it, but I'll paint in a background and then I'll draw over it just because I haven't learned how to paint yet. So like the type of detail that I want to put in, I feel comfortable putting in drawing, but I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it in painting. So I feel like it's almost cheating to half paint and half draw, just because I don't feel comfortable yet doing it all in paint. Maybe one day, but I definitely feel more comfortable drawing. I only recently got these really fine paintbrushes where I'm gonna to try to do a highly detailed painting. But I do feel like that'll be one of those like long-term projects. 80 reference photos. I feel like that's going to be a challenge when it comes to the layout. Like, how do you pick and choose? Like coming up with a composition for that. I feel like that would be challenging. Now, charcoal would be cool. Classic. Charcoal is a nice classic way of doing portraits, I feel. I am a little biased because I enjoy charcoal so much. I don't want to exclusively do charcoal, but I feel like if did exclusively do charcoal, I would not be that bored or upset by always doing it. The thing is, sometimes I want to punch a color. So I really like that technique of combining charcoal with acrylic to get color. But also, I do use pastels. Really, I should introduce pastels with my charcoal in order to get color. Like I did that one, was it Tuesday? Yeah, I did that one Tuesday where I combined charcoal with colored pencils, which I think is a cool effect. But you definitely have to treat your paper with like fixative and stuff like that in order to do that. So it's a bit more work. I don't know. Man, that's a lot of pixels, dude. Yeah, I don't think my computer would handle that. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that as well, Rome Dog. If you had to do the dog in one particular medium, what would it be? And like that's all you could use. You just have to use one medium. What do you choose? Oh yeah, I think I did see that one. Yeah, that was pretty cool. There was one that you did recently. I think I saw it on Instagram. It was kind of a field of like cottages and stuff. Um, might be misremembering this, but I think I'm right on this. It kind of felt like a Van Gogh picture. I really like the colors and the style in that. Maybe not exactly Van Gogh, but that's what I thought of when I saw it. I thought, hey, this is something that Van Gogh would do. If you're purist, you're cheating a little. Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know if it's cheating. I don't think it's practical, but yeah. Like I respect that some people like okay, so some people okay, acrylic's cool. So so here's a purist that argument that I kind of actually buy. So somebody might go off and use watercolor, and you can use like let's say you're painting with watercolor on white paint on white uh, paper or something like that, right? So a purist would say that you shouldn't use white paint to create the whites in your watercolor picture. You should let the pieces of paper that are white show through, and that should be your white. Like that's actually a purist argument I've heard. So they would say, no, don't come over your watercolor with gouache to get your whites back in. Don't come back over with like a gel pen of white, which a lot of people actually do. You have to let the paper be the white, right? So that's a very purist way of looking at it. And you may look at it like, well, that's nuts, or like, why would you want to limit yourself to that, and so on. But their argument is that they're exploring the medium, right? So they're exploring what all watercolor can do. And when doing that, they want it to be all watercolor. So, like, it's the medium itself that is the point of what they're doing. They're not just trying to create a picture, they're trying to explore the limits of watercolor medium and so on. And it's the same case with like charcoal or something like that. You may be working in charcoal and you may be like, well, if I used colored pencils, I can introduce a bit of color. Yeah, but now you're a mixed media artist and you're not a charcoal artist. So you're not pushing the limits of charcoal. You're using some other medium along with it, which is totally fine. I mean, I would do that. That's my thing. But I can kind of see their point of view, the purists, on using the medium to the best of its ability, and if there's a limitation, well, that's just your limitation. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't know many artists that actually work that way. Like I have seen people who consider themselves a pastel artist, for example, and they'll use watercolor to create like a base painting underneath the pastel. And I fully support that. I think it's a great way to one conserve your pastel because pastels are relatively expensive compared to watercolor. But two, also it's a time saver. You know, you can just come in and add huge areas of color. Like technically speaking, even though I'm using this white pastel, this is not technically, strictly, completely a pastel picture because there's pigment or dye in the paper itself that creates that black. So anyway, for what it's worth, I don't think anybody would ever sit there and say, no, that's not a charcoal picture or like a pastel picture. But truthfully, there's dye in this as well. So I would actually love to make my own paper. I'm sorry, I've been off on like a tangent. What are you guys talking about? Oh, you guys are talking amongst yourselves, so that's cool. I would love to make my own paper. That would be fun. I've done it before, like in, I don't know, probably school or something, arts and crafts or whatever. And I like the texture of paper that comes out of it. I would like to make a journal out of that. That would be cool. I think you can make watercolor paper pretty straightforwardly. Sometimes I make up words like straightforwardly. I don't think that's a real word. Um, in case you're tuning in late, I want to reiterate, it's all soft touches. Like I'm not pressing down on this very much at all. I'm using the edge of this pencil. Again, I'll show it again. It's not very sharp. Yeah, it's kind of blurry. Yeah, there you go. It's not very sharp. I'm using the edge of it to create these fine lines. Every now and then I'll slightly press down harder just to create like more of a white, but really it's just very soft touch here. It doesn't take much. Oh, I love charcoal exactly for that reason. Oh yeah, so this is it came with the charcoal set, but there is no such thing as white charcoal. Like it just doesn't exist. Charcoal is always black. So what you've got going on here is something similar to a pastel. I just call it pastel because it effectively is. Um, it's probably just pigment with a binder, very similarly to. So even though this is with the charcoal set, it doesn't really have any kind of gray to it. Like I've got somewhere over here. So here's an example. So this is a Derwent pastel titanium white. If you hold them side by side, the difference between them, like I know the lighting in here kind of sucks, but the different colors between them, they're practically the same. Like so I can come over here with my Derwent pencil and it's going to create the same marks. Like that is the exact same mark is what I'm getting out of this. This came in a $5 set of charcoal. This right here came in a set of like, I don't know, a lot more money than, what I'd like to, oh, maybe a white charcoal pencil. That's funny. Anywho, this is either pastel. I don't know. It came with a set of charcoal, but it's basically pastel. And if I'm wrong on that, I don't care. It works just the same as pastel. So I'm going to call it pastel. And it's got all the things I like about working in interesting white coal. So what what are the actual things that are in it that makes it work? Like is it so like a charcoal? I don't know. I think like a charcoal is actually burnt wood of some sort. Compressed charcoal would be, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on this stuff. I'm not gonna try to guess. Burnt wood but white. Okay. Whereas pastel, of course, is actual pigment with some binder, right? We're quizzing Lazello tonight. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So do they use a binder with it? Like, do they take ash? I mean, like, yeah. So like, do they burn something, take the ash, and apply a pigment to it? Oh, not a pigment, but a like a binder to it. Okay. So how's that different than pastel? That's my question. Like, what's the technical difference between those two things? Is it that the pigment's different on the pastel versus the white charcoal? Well, Zella doesn't know it, but she's now the resident artist, uh, like the expert that tells us how these things work because I don't know. Okay, all right, cool. Well, Zella's our expert that's going to give us the actual like technical background to how these things work. She doesn't know it yet. Don't tell her. So that's cool because then the show gets to level up because like I've been saying for months now, it's not an educational show at all because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to these things that I'm just now getting used to using. So if we can punch it up with an actual like working knowledge that people can learn from, that's going to be awesome. I feel like this side needs to be finished up here. Yeah, I'm going to move on to finishing this up. So this would probably fall into that category then, where I'm actually drawing with white ash, or maybe even like a really bright gray ash, because it did come in the set of charcoal. So like, unless they were just cheaping out because it was only like a $5 set, that's my guess. Oh, actually, all right. If you're still with us, Lizella, I got a pop quiz for you. All right, so this also came in that set. So it came in with charcoal pencils. It came with this white pencil. As you can see, I've been using the heck out of it. But it also came with this light sepia. What do you think goes into that? Leave that one there. Wonder if wonder if that's a like a similar process. It's kind of cool. I learned something new today. You guys thought this wasn't an educational show. I feel like we're leveling up, guys. We're getting better at drawing, and we're getting better at understanding the tools we have available to us. One of these days, we're going to be a real artist. Except not during expert. I like it. I like instructor. There you go. Get a proper term for it. Um, expert's probably good too. Educator. I forget what the name. Oh, Bandit. I was calling this Raccoon Bandit. Orange and blends like charcoal. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So like as you can see, I haven't really used it. Um, I don't know how to pronounce it. Was it the Conti drawings or something like that? But that's a Conti crayon, I think. But I think that if I ever did get around to using it, I would use this kind of like that. But I still haven't figured out what so like I don't know about you, but I never went to art school or anything like that, and what little I know about the different tools that I'm trying to use here, is just from like learning from others. So like I'm on this journey of self discovery and learning as much as I can about this stuff actually. So like all of this stuff is kind of fascinating to me, but I don't know. Maybe like when they do the Oh, okay, cool. All right, so it has to do with the tone of the paper itself. So like what tool works best with the background colored paper? Is that I think that's what you're saying. That makes sense. So like when they do those Conti drawings, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It could be like Conte or something like that. They always seem to use that you know kind of sanguine color. Is that because of the color paper they're using? Is that what's going on there? You realize you're gonna. So I do these live streams every Tuesday and Friday. You realize you're gonna have to come to every single one of them so you can help us out here. By the way, we appreciate it. Yeah, it is fascinating. Like the more I learn about these things, the I don't know, like every single thing that I pick up, I end up using over and over and again. So like none of it, none of it, not any of it is wasted. That's what's so fascinating about it. Like every single thing that you pick up while developing your skills, you will apply over and over and over again. I don't know if that's the case in many other like things that one might pursue in life. Like, my day job is a programmer. There are things that I've learned in programming that are like a one use type thing. Airbrush on hot press boards. I don't know if I can do airbrush. Like you see these people creating these really cool things with like spray paint and stuff like that. Unless you're working on like a large mural or something that's meant to be seen at a distance, I don't know if I would be any good at that. Oh, speaking of like chalky type stuff, and like basically graffiti with the with spray paint. Um, One of the things that I plan on doing very soon, I got a whole new set of like street chalk. I'm gonna try to do I'm gonna try to do like a street chalk mural of some sort. I don't know if I'm gonna do it in my driveway or if I'm gonna go to the park and do it. I don't know if I have permission to do it. I'm not sure I care. I mean, it can be washed off anyway. It's not real graffiti. But anyway, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to do like I don't know what the subject matter is going to be. Probably a portrait. I'm going to try to do that on a sidewalk or my driveway, depending on which one I have the courage to do. Are we doing okay? All right, so we got a basic face here. I think that some of this stuff needs to be kind of brightened up. I have to keep track of time. So that's the other problem with public speaking. I lose track of like where I was in terms of like time. So this is a little thing I wanted to call attention to. So once you have all this basic stuff down, this is where like revisiting it the next day might actually help. So like now I feel comfortable just kind of once I have it in, I feel comfortable doing these like more looser, broader strokes just to kind of really brighten the value and kind of reinforce things that I already drew, but really kind of get it going. There you go. I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. Thanks, kid. Cool. All right. So I am going to I'm going to learn about all that stuff, and I'll probably do some more white charcoal pencil pictures in the future after I do study that, so that like future people who come through and stuff, I can pass on that knowledge. That's kind of cool. Um, I have noticed that like I don't know why, but looking at my demographics, there's a wide range of ages of viewers here. Like we've got some older people, but then we also have some younger people who come in here. And I can only imagine that the younger people are just getting started on their journey to becoming an artist, and I feel so bad for them because they're probably looking at me for like guidance, and I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. So like, I don't want to lead those kids astray with bad knowledge. So I definitely don't want them like going to school the next day and talking to their art teacher like, "Yeah, I was watching YouTube last night and this guy said you're full of crap, teach." No, I am not saying that. All right. So I need some whiskers coming off of here. I think this one is going to basically be a straight line, kind of extend out. And there's a couple more. See, and I don't even have to sharpen it to get this relatively like fine line. I always get nervous with these because like you basically once you get going, you're committed. I might end up drawing over these several times, but it might actually be a little bit wide. But anyway, whatever. There's like some smaller ones, I think. That's kind of cool. So I think this one might be a bit long. And what's great is because there's not like a lot of tooth here, I can kind of like just lift this stuff up just by rubbing with my hand. And like this one's a bit bright, so I can kind of. Oh, so because you do drawings on black paper, I do have a question for you. Do you find like every single black paper that I've used, they always seem to be like highly reflective. Like it's frustrating, not so much, while drawing and stuff because it doesn't look so bad here. It just kind of looks grayed out. But when I go to take a picture of it, man, it picks up every single light in the room. Like it picks up, it picks up the sunlight through my window, all of that stuff, and I end up having to like take it into Photoshop just to get it back to looking like this. After I remove some of that false lighting, because like I don't know, it just always seems to like be crazy reflective. Yes, thank you. All right, cool. Not just my imagination. Thanks. Because if you didn't notice that, I was gonna ask you like what paper you use because like it's so frustrating. Yeah, like I almost have to. I almost have to turn off all the lights almost in order to get a picture that isn't like super reflective. And I don't know what that is. Like, seems like it's not necessary for them to create it that way. All right, so I'm probably not going to have time to do the full body. I think what I'm just going to have do is like finish the body down to here and then kind of put in hints of hands. So like he's got these little hands, because that's what they do. So I'm going to finish up around here and then kind of disappear the hands down into like shadows maybe. So that it's almost like he's peering out from like a tree trunk or something of that nature. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm not sure what I would do differently if I did have more time, but it's a really easy equation when I know I don't have time to fill in every single bit of this paper, which that's cool though, because like I think it's a better composition not to just fill up paper because it's there. So again, my particular way of doing things is I worry about like the central focal point, which is this, and then I kind of move into doing things a little bit looser and less focused and so on, the further you get away from like the focal point. And I feel like that creates a pretty good contrast. I mean, I'm not always perfect at it, but use a lot of frisket. Oh, let's see. Oh, I see. You're talking about the airbrushing thing. I really need to create some digital art. Everybody's always talking about digital art, so I need to at least do one demo with that because I do it every now and then. Anyway, so I was talking about like hyper focus here, less focused on the outside, creates a good contrast, kind of leading people's eyes to the part that you want them to be focused on. So out here, you know, looser lines, kind of sketch it in a little bit quicker. I think I'm pretty consistent with doing things this way. And I stand by, like I'm not perfect at it, but I stand by that it's a good way of dealing with you know, movement and driving people's eyes to the parts that you want them to. There you go. So longer lines instead of shorter lines, lighter, things of that nature. I could probably blend some of this out here so that it's not it's clear what's going on. Just random hairs like flying all over the place. These guys, they're this guy looks more evil than I intended. Like he still looks kind of evil. Like he's creeping up out to just like bite your ear off or something. I told the story at the beginning of this video about how I went camping one time and the raccoon came up and was sniffing my ear. I think it was this guy, to be honest. Like I've got a reference photo of a raccoon up on the screen over here, but I think I'm drawing from memory here. This evil little raccoon wanting to bite my ear off. He's a trash bandit. Yeah, 100%. You can see he's creeping up to get the trash. Like it was not intentional for me to draw him this evil looking. Like he's definitely a villain up to no good. He's a trash burglar. So I think through here, because his hand does kind of come across here. So let me kind of out of the darkness create another small focal area of this hand. I mean, I don't remember what they call this stuff, but like maybe hide and show or something. So you hide in the shadows his forearm, but his hand kind of comes out, which makes him even more sinister. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I even doing here? I'm creating an evil raccoon. I want this to kind of be white, so just gonna blend it out and then come in and put like little hair details over it. Also, what I like about working with these white charcoals is, the same techniques as working with regular charcoals. You're basically using the same blending tools. I could be using my eraser or something to pick up some of the stuff some of this powder essentially to put down. Or I guess ash. I can call it ash. I can use that kneaded eraser to pick it up, or I can smear it to kind of blend it. One tip about that. So like, especially on this paper because it's so soft, like if I came in and I rubbed it really hard, it basically just disappears. I don't want to do that. Like it still kind of shows up on camera because it's so reflective, but here in person, all I see is this like really light smear. I don't want to do that. So you have to be like really light when you're blending, I found, with these blending stumps. On this particular paper, I'm just using this regular like mixed media paper, but I think it's pretty generic. I forget the company name. I don't know. I've got it like down there. But anywho, so like just basically light touches all the way around. Light touch with the pencil, light touch with the blending stump. Just, you know, kind of take your time and not be rushed. I think that looks kind of cool. Like, I don't know. I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll add more to it, but I do like the idea of it just coming out of the shadow. An artist glove. So does that keep it from like smearing or something like that? Yeah. My dad's a lefty. He's an artist as well. So maybe you can answer this. I don't know like how self-conscious you are about your drawing. My dad is a left-handed drawer and he draws completely differently than me. So like as a right-handed drawer, I find that every time I draw, I end up focusing more on this side. Um, let's see. I got a sticky note here. So this is fun. This has nothing to do with what I'm drawing. I'm just kind of like I just wanted to show something interesting. So my dad is a left hand. So if I draw a cube, right? If I draw a cube, it would be like this pen sucks. So this is how I would draw a cube, right? And that is as a right-hander, right? So my dad, I found when he draws a cube, and I asked him to do this just as a test because I was curious. When he draws a cube, he draws it like this, which to me is weird. I would never just naturally draw a cube that way. I would if I wasn't trying to duplicate something I saw out there in nature or something like that, I would be more inclined to draw a cube this way. And my dad, as a left-handed drawer, is more inclined to draw a cube this way. I also heard that when I crosshatch, I'm more inclined to let's see, how would I think I would be more inclined to kind of crosshatch like this, and then my dad would probably be more inclined to crosshatch like this, which is odd to me. Like it just feels weird drawing like that for some reason. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that lefties and righties draw in different ways, and it's really apparent. Um, there you go. There you go. So it's really apparent when you look at Leonardo da Vinci because he was left-handed, and it's just so fascinating to me that those kind of differences because like I don't know it's not like you're taught. I don't know. Maybe some people are, but naturally people draw differently, and it makes me think that like I don't know. It's just weird how the brain works. It just is so striking to me how my dad and I draw differently. Just a simple cube. I don't know why that fascinates me so much, but it does. And it's not always the case. Like I feel like like there's no reason why I couldn't learn to draw the other way, or a lefty could likewise just intentionally draw the other way. I just think it's fascinating that left to our own devices without actually consciously trying to do differently, for some reason we draw differently like that. Anyway, that has nothing to do with drawing raccoons. I just thought I just wanted to bring that up because my dad is a left-handed drawer, and I noticed that in his drawings, and I asked him about it, and I tested him without even telling him what I was doing. I was like, draw a cube for me, and he drew it his way, and I'm like, that is so weird, so weird. It's probably not as weird as I think it is, but in my mind, it was like the weirdest thing. Yeah, and he mentioned that as well. He mentioned that he had to like kind of adapt to how because like it is a right-hander's world. All the tools and stuff like before the introduction of like left-handed like stores and stuff for specifically left-handed type scissors, for example, things like that. Like it is kind of biased towards right-handers, and I think that's kind of messed up because there's probably just as many left-handed people in the world. I don't really know. I don't know what the statistics are. Maybe there's not as many, but to me, I just found that fascinating, super fascinating. I found it more fascinating because like you can take a look at somebody's artwork and kind of tell whether they're like in some cases, not every case, but in some cases you can maybe guess whether or not they're left-handed or right-handed artists without having ever met them. That kind of stuff is interesting. I see what you did there, kid. Oh, calligraphy. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I haven't really done a lot of calligraphy. Should probably try that. Just I don't know, just see if it's just as challenging for me as a right-hander to do calligraphy as well. That's kind of sad if you're like it's hard for lefties. I like your joke there, kid, though. I've always heard that left-handed people are the only ones in their right mind. That's a good one. Now, kid, I know you're not a dad, but that's basically a dad joke. I approve. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this side. It's not perfect. I might work with it some more, but just to make progress because we're about 2 hours into this. Um, and I want to keep people from enjoying their Friday night. I am going to move over to this side just to kind of balance it out, even though it does kind of look like he's creeping. I like this as is, but I am going to add a little bit more over here before I call it a night. Thanks, Marble. Welcome back. Marble, if you haven't yet, allow me to recommend Lazello's channel. She's been dropping some knowledge bombs on us tonight about different like art tools and stuff like that. I know that you enjoy that kind of stuff as well, so I encourage you to check out her channel if you want to learn some, you know, some information. I mean, like different techniques as well. But like she just told us the difference between white charcoal and white pastel, which I found kind of fascinating. So if you're into that kind of thing, I recommend checking out her channel. And her art's not that bad either. It's actually kind of cool. I like it. Like the other thing that fascinates me about just the YouTube community when it comes to like artists in the YouTube community, we all check out each other's stuff. Um, basically, like everybody who comes into this channel who has like an interest in art, I go and check out your channel, and I can't guarantee that I will subscribe, but if I like your stuff, I'll definitely subscribe, and I have been for those that I like, and it's kind of cool because like I don't know, it's almost like there's like it's like this I don't know, just a way of like supporting each other, really, like encouragement, I guess. I don't know. I That's the way I look at it, at least. You know, does seem like does seem to be the case. Like I always thought that like I don't know, like people wouldn't like each other's stuff or whatever, but that hasn't been the case that I've seen. Like it seems like the all the um all the feedback is like encouraging and supportive and constructive. Like I've seen some really good comments where people talk about like, hey, if you did this, it would improve things and stuff, and it's actually helpful criticism. I mean, not criticism really. It's just like helpful tips. There you go. That's the way I would phrase it. I like that kind of stuff. Because I mean, like if you're going to draw and you're going to draw in public and you're going to have people watch your stuff, it's better to have like nice people who are supportive than assholes who are just going to say, "Oh, that's the worst raccoon in the entire world." I'm like, really? It's not that bad, But yeah, there are people out there that would say this is the worst raccoon. I'm actually kind of proud of this. I think it looks pretty good. I don't think it's the best raccoon in the world. Plus, how can you say it's the worst raccoon in the world? Have you met every raccoon? Have you seen every raccoon drawing? I don't think so. Oh, bye, Rome. Have a good one. I look forward to your next. Well, actually, I would love to, like, if you can shoot me a comment or something and tell me where I might find that one picture you said that took like you won all those awards for. I'd love to check that out. That would be very cool. I want to see what happens if people do spend like a lot of time on a picture because like I don't know, I could be talked into it. I'm not inclined to spend like a full month on a one single picture, but maybe that's the next step. Maybe that's what it takes to get better. Because I do think the more time you spend with something, I don't know, like I think you can also overwork something. Like you can definitely beat a picture into the ground. Like there's only so much time you can actually spend on this raccoon. I don't think 2 hours is it, but I don't think 3,000 hours is it either. Increase this line here. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of light fur come down just so that you know her. No, I'm calling it Bandit. Well, that could still be her. Um, it's arm. It's kind of coming down right here. I just kind of want to like hint to that. I don't really want to put in much detail. But I feel like this is kind of lost in shadow because in my mind, it's a fat raccoon, right? And it's kind of blocking certain parts and when it comes to like the light. I've never seen a skinny raccoon. I'm sure they exist, but I've never seen one. And I've seen some raccoons in my day. Like my parents lived out in the boondocks, out in the country. They basically had raccoons as pets almost because they would come up and eat their cat food. I think it's pretty cool. I think at this point, really, it's just like little tiny details, maybe. Kind of going over some areas and stuff. Like here, I kind of want this to be a little bit more detailed than like out here. So same here, I kind of want a contrast between this because it kind of just blah. I might put in some little highlights in here. Like I'm not even looking at the reference picture anymore. I'm at the point where I'm happy enough. It looks like a raccoon. Now I'm trying to make it look. Now I'm trying to make it look like a good picture, if that makes sense. I think that's part of the process as you get towards the end. Like there's enough information in this drawing that I did to give the person the impression that is a raccoon. Now, is there any little small pick-me-ups I can do to make it look like a good drawing? Little tiny things. Like I feel like, so this is a good example. So this is kind of bland and washed out, right? It all looks like the same. But if I come in here, I just put like one or two little highlights up here in this hair, kind of separates it out from this, right? Like hopefully you guys saw that. Um, and I feel like that's really useful. Like this is all kind of looks the same. So if I just put in like one or two marks that's maybe a little bit denser or wider than some of the other areas, kind of gives it like this sort of visual interest. I keep reading the just raccoons love California. You really want that kettle coin that you've been talking about, kid. Trash can lid. You guys are funny. Yeah, that street fair is tomorrow. I'm definitely getting some kettle corn. I ain't gonna lie. That's like that's my highlight for the weekend. All right. I think we're about done, guys. What do you guys think? I'm gonna bring some of this down. I kind of want this to kind of come into a central point. I don't know. Anyway, it does get to the point where you can probably overwork it, and I don't want to do that. So you're saying I should draw a trash can lid? Like I could do that. I could have a trash can lid coming in. I could have this hand picking up the trash can lid. Like this part right here, he's coming out of the trash, and this right here is like holding a trash can lid. I like that idea. Oh, I was gonna have this part down here kind of come in as well. Oh, nah, I don't want that. In fact, I don't want this either. Maybe a little bit subtler. I mean, honestly, this is the point where you're just kind of like working it until you're happy with the composition. I like the one hand coming out. I think the one hand coming out kind of gives it this personality that I don't know, wasn't intentional, but now that I drew it, I kind of liked it. Because originally I had in mind I was going to have another hand come down here and maybe some more developed over here, but I kind of like this, and it's got this cool little flow to it. So I'm done. I'm going to leave it like this. Um, that's just the way it goes sometimes. I didn't intend for it to turn out that way, but I'm kind of happy with it actually. This is the sinister raccoon from my childhood where I had a raccoon nibbling at my ear, or at least that's what I had in my mind. So this is Jeremy drawing his own personal little nightmare. Anyway, well, that's what he's doing. So this is where you guys get to use your imagination. So if you think he's holding the trash can lid, he's holding the trash can lid. If you think he's reaching for kettle corn, he's reaching for kettle corn. I don't know how to draw a popcorn, but I could draw like if you just imagine that there's popcorn all in here, like he's literally reaching into a bag of popcorn. That's your imagination. You're entitled to it. You guys can do whatever you want to with that. I don't personally know how to draw popcorn. I don't have any reference photos in front of me, so I'm not going to draw the popcorn. But if that's your interpretation of this picture, I am okay with that. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm going to call this done. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this Friday night. We've got Bandit the raccoon, basically reaching into a bag. Like you have to use your imagination. It's a very dark bag. He's reaching into a bag of kettle corn, and back here he's holding the trash can lid. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. All right. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Um, Thank you guys. You really are the best audience. I don't deserve you guys. You're both funny. You're informative. You guys challenge me to do better. You guys are supportive. Honestly, it's the best anybody can hope for. So I do think it. Thank you all. Yeah, the dog's getting restless. This is my own personal trash panda. You know what you are. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be back Tuesday if I don't think of something to draw this weekend. So I'll go ahead and let you guys go for now. Just wanted to mention Team Olivia again. Like there's a link to her stuff down in the description. If you get a chance to go by her Instagram and just she does these really cool like alcohol ink pictures. If she doesn't need you to buy anything, she's got great insurance, but she is having some struggles. So like if you guys want to go by and just kind of drop her a comment, give her a nice little pick me up. I would consider that a great personal favor. But in the meantime, That's all I got. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you guys Tuesday. Bye.